So I've been meaning to make this video for some time because people have been asking me a lot, like my story, how I ended up in Finland. And it's, I suppose it's quite an interesting story in that sense. So let's just get into it basically right off the bat. I live in the south of Finland, but it wasn't always like that. When I moved here in 2013, in January, I moved to a place called Muonio, and that is way above the Arctic Circle. So in Lapland, so basically that means it gets the winter freeze sort of sometimes as early as September, and it lasts all the way till the end of April and sometimes even May. It's the longest winter. It's well over 6 months, and it's a fantastic place, and it's probably the happiest place I've ever spent my entire life, really. I lived there until April, so I didn't live there that long, although it felt much longer. And what was I doing there? Well, I was doing quite a lot above the Arctic Circle, where it's 55 days of total darkness. It's called Karmos in Finnish language. And in that Karmos, I was test driving cars in a top secret test location. And it's in a place called Saaritunturi. And it's around about here on the map. It's not far from the Levi ski resort. And this is the place where a lot of British people in particular are going to see Father Christmas. The other one is in Rovaniemi, which is a few hundred kilometres to the south. And as you can see on the map, it's extremely close to the top end of Finland, which is towards the Barents Sea, the Arctic, essentially. So it's pretty serious stuff up here. I was test driving cars for Mercedes-Benz and Audi and Volkswagen and stuff like that. A couple of Skodas. And this top secret test location, which was full of high security, unfortunately prohibited any type of recording or sound recording or mobile phone recording. In fact, we had to put stickers on our phones every time we went to the work. So I've not got any photos or videos. So you'll have to bear on my description. That's the only thing I have. And what was it? Well, it was a huge test track, multiple circuits, including handling stages, up and down, twisty tight snow, sort of cut-out circuits, if you like. Fantastic, big, deep snowbanks. 2 frozen lake circuits, which you could just take all these fast cars out and turn the DSC off and just go sideways around corners, a bit like on Top Gear, I guess, like Top Gear Challenge type thing. And inside the test centre, when you got to the checkpoint, after going through like numerous checkpoints with like guards up this like forest track, which took like 20 minutes to get to the top of the mountain, you were confronted with an amazing place. It even has its own petrol station, and the offices, workshops and cafeterias where we used to sort of work from are bored into the side of the mountain. So you go to the top and there's a huge mountain, and it's like something out of James Bond. Literally everything is inside a mountain, and all the walls inside, they're not like plastered, they're just like bare rock, just like sort of cleaned up and painted, but then with office modules, all glass fronts, very high-tech, very modern. And you go in through one door, which is automatic in your car, and it's just full of technicians from Germany. There's about 40 ramps in there from different teams, and they're all just literally working with all the latest tools. Some cars are stripped, some have engines out, some are just basically in for servicing, and they obviously just work in there for 6 months like a normal workshop. But it's so amazing what they did with the place. It's just this huge place, like football field sized car parks of cars. You know, it's unbelievable. First night I got there, and I'd been about 1 week in Finland, and we were staying in a little summer house while we were waiting for an apartment in an old school to be ready for us, doing a bit of a renovation on it. We were renting it, and it was great, you know, a little log fire at night and a bit of whiskey and all that, and some nice elk meat stew and mash, all that, really nice. Well, that was 1 week holiday, wasn't it? So after that, when I got my glasses, which came literally the night before I started working, and it was terrifying because, of course, Finns are known the world over for being the world's best drivers. They're not really scared of anything, Finnish people. They're very tough people. So I made introductions to this guy, young guy. He was younger than me. He was a supervisor. He said, right, he spoke reasonable English. No one else spoke a word of English. It was a right nightmare. Like 2 or 3 people out of about 50 who spoke English. So it was very difficult. My Finnish was awful in them days. Couldn't string a sentence together. He says, right, Ben, he says, we're going to go on a couple of stages. It'll take you a few weeks to get used to the place, and boy, did it. Everything's in German, not Finnish, because it's mainly Germans working there. So you got to this first night stage. It was a motorway stage, and they have like a huge banked oval. It's massive. It's about, I don't know, 20 kilometres through the top of the mountain through the forest, but it's just literally like they've just made a motorway. It's all fully tarmacked. It's unbelievable what they've done there. But in winter, of course, it's just full of snow and grit. This is right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go on the motorway stage for about an hour. We just got to go and stay at a steady 130 kilometres an hour. And it was okay. I got on it. Got on the Einfahrt sign for getting on the stage. There's about 20 cars. We're all in a convoy and we're just following each other. I'm in the middle, so I'm quite comfortable. I'm not like the last kind of thing. And I thought, this is jumping. I've got my new glasses on. Everything's hunky-dory. And it started snowing. I thought, okay, no problem. Just a bit of snow. It's nothing major. Then it started snowing really bad, like proper bad. Like unbelievable amount of snow. So much so that it became a whiteout. And carried on driving. Couldn't see the car in front of me. Couldn't see anything really. Just could barely make out like roughly where the centre was. Don't ask me how I knew, but I just did. Much better at driving than I am now then, because I'm much older now. My eyes aren't as good. Anyway, we've got radios, little walkie-talkies. And I'm listening to them all like talking Finnish. I understood a bit, and I'm like 20 minutes of this. I'm like shitting myself, like thinking, Jesus Christ, like I could crash into one of these at 130, and you can't slow down because you've got to keep the car at a particular speed. It's perfectly safe. You don't need to slow down in the sense that you're not going to lose control. It's a huge, wide, banked oval, a bit like Goodwood used to be, I suppose. A bit like Brooklands used to be. You know, the old Brooklands one in England. It's that type of a banked oval, but it's way wider and way bigger, so it's quite safe. But I'm just thinking, what if someone brakes? I won't even see brake lights. Anyway, 30 minutes later, I finally heard the guy says, okay, Ben, when you see Ausfahrt, next one, come off, we go have coffee. Weather is too bad. I was like, oh my God. So that was my first introduction to that, but it was good fun. Like I spent, like, as I said, a couple of months there and started to make a few friends and just enjoyed the job, like going to work, driving cars. 400 kilometres in some nights I'd drive. It's a huge amount. Just like awesome, taking cars sideways, like through handling circuits. The Frozen Lake stage was best, like, you know, Volkswagen Touaregs and stuff like that, 4-wheel drive drifting around cones. So that's where I ended up. And then in April, unfortunately, I didn't want to be out of work because I like to work. So I got a job in the southeast near the Russian border in Lapland. It's a beautiful little town. I love it. It's the best place. I wish I still lived there. Unfortunately, there's not much work, so I ended up moving to the Helsinki area. And I moved to Smeden, where I am now, and I moved there in April for some reason, 2020. Pandemic came soon after, of course. And that's where I am still, and I have no intentions of moving or anything like that because it's a pretty good place. So that's kind of me like the what I did when I came here. It was pretty goddamn cool. Wish I still lived in Lapland, but in a sense, I really wish I lived in Lapland because there's no jobs, of course. You have to do like chopping logs or reindeer herding or work in the hotels. There's nothing else unless you've got your own business there. But there's already garages. I wouldn't be able to open a garage there because there's already local people who are doing that. Why do I love it so much? Well, there's no police, hardly. There's no traffic lights. There's no speed cameras. Very few sort of people or traffic on holiday season, ski season. Summer and ski season, there's a lot of traffic, but other than that, it's quite quiet. -40 sometimes, a bit harsh. But what I loved the most about it was like going for a walk at night. I could cope with cold temperatures better then. And you would go for a walk down the little village lane where I lived in Kangasjärvi, which was near Muonio. And you just see all the little fires. And the smoke just sits there. It's so cold, the smoke doesn't rise. It just comes out and just sits there. And the smell of the logs, the dogs barking, you know, like reindeer and herding dogs and sleigh pulling dogs. Sometimes they'll go across the frozen lake with like 10 dogs, 10 huskies pulling a sleigh and a guy on it. And it's like a different world, you know. And then you go to the lake and you can hear like cracking and creaking at late at night. You know, it's just amazing, really. And that's what I loved about it, and that's what I miss the solitude. But I was never like, I couldn't say I never felt lonely. I never felt like, of course I had a woman then and a kid with her I've got. So that we had a small little family there, but the family all lived local, like old woman, auntie of hers used to bring bread and all that business. So it was kind of an amazing place. Of course, Lapland was second, but where I live now, it's not quiet, it's stressful, it's like city area, Helsinki area, so it's busy, lots of people, lots of traffic, lots of stress. So that's where I am. That's where I am right now. But yeah, would I change it? Would I go back and never go back to England because of all the problems what's there now? All the problems in Europe, we don't seem to have the same issues as Europe has. We've got a lot less immigration, we've got a lot less crime. It's generally quite safe. The only thing we do have is the extreme cold weather and really wet autumns and very short summers. And it's also very far away from anywhere. So other than that, it's champion, really, to be honest with you. One thing I do love the most is where I am. I can just go to a forest whenever I want. I can put my fire on, put my sausages on, smoke my fish, whatever I want to do. Camp out, there's lots of camping places. And the good thing is, if I want to go to Sweden or Norway, I can just jump in the car and we can go, can't we? Go on the boat, or we can go up north and go up through Tornio that way, and I'm in Sweden, or I can keep going to Finnmark, which is top of Norway, and so on and so forth. So we enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed making it. Thanks for watching my channel. Got nearly 100,000 views this last 28 days, which is the most I've ever had. Never had so many views. And I'm starting to make more and more content now. And I hope it's content that you like. And remember, this channel is for teaching you. But sometimes it's also to tell you little nice stories like this. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.